Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 2nd of June and I welcome you all to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, in the today's video, we are going to discuss the entire analysis of Hindu newspaper along with all the articles, their background, and I would apologize that today we are starting little bit late at around 9 a.m. It is because I was traveling yesterday and I reached late night. Okay, so starting up, first of all, let's see overview of entire newspaper so that we can understand that which articles are actually important for our examination. And you can also download the synoptic notes of this entire session from our Telegram channel. Link for Telegram channel is given in description box in YouTube. Now, first of all, guys, here we see the first article, Judicial Panel to Probe Manipur Violence. So, from so many of the days, the violence in Manipur is going on, which started after the Manipur High Court announced that the Metis can be given the scheduled tribe status. Other tribal peoples did not approve of this particular idea. So, this is something, however, much important issue is not there given in this particular article. Then further moving on, GST collections crosses 1.5 lakh crore for the for the fifth time. So, guys, basically, better revenue collections in the GST shows that the Indian economy is rebounding. It shows the better prospects for the Indian economy, but at the same time, you are not required to track month by month data with respect to the GST collection and all such kind of things. Then further moving on, farmers carry forward wrestlers protest issue. Then coming guys into the regional section, so the city section, the regional issues etc have been provided. Okay, so we will directly be moving on guys, and then these advertisements, all such kind of things have been given. So we don't have much relevant political relevant articles here for our examination. So we'll directly be moving on, and here we come on editorial page. So on editorial page, the first article talks about the root of India's manufacturing challenge. We'll see this particular article with respect to the examination as what it is talking about. Then the wrestling for justice. So guys, this particular article is talking about the wrestlers protest which are asking for the arrest of Mr. Brij Bhushan fine for the sexual assault allegation that has been there. The article is giving just the details about that thing, that what has happened up till now. Delhi police have passed the Delhi police has filed the case and all such kind of things. For exam, much important substances not there in this article. Then Central Asia, foreign policy, vectorianism pays off. We'll see this particular article for examination. Then guys, the article is talking about the provisional estimates of national income, fine, and all such kind of things. Then further moving on, is there a clear north-south divide in Indian politics? Now this particular article guys is actually talking about that what are the basically the article is talking about that what have been the policies of the political parties in the north and south, how they attract the voters and all such kind of things. So the comparison of the political parties have been given. But guys, for the examination, much important aspects have not been there because directly the political parties, their strategies and all such kind of things are being discussed. Then further moving on in coming to the text and context, who should own the world's lithium? We'll take this particular article briefly. Then how has Dhaka reacted to US threat on visa? We'll see this particular article also. Then why romance as a genre has disappeared from Kannada cinema. Guys, basically the references and the examples of the different movies have been given. Article doesn't contain much of a substance for examination, so I'll not advise you to go in this particular article. Then here, India Nepal signed pacts on energy transport. So yesterday we have seen this particular thing that the conference between Indian and Nepal Prime Minister was to be held. That has happened. We'll see all the key takeaways that have come here in this particular article. Then guys, further moving on in this particular direction, okay, not seek moving on in this particular direction guys, here we have one article, India Russia joint venture on Vande Bharat train hits hurdle. We'll see briefly what the article is actually talking about. India China hold talks on LAC issue in New Delhi. So basically guys, we have seen this particular thing that for so many of the time the meetings between India and China, commander level meetings and meetings in between the other foreign dignitaries have also happened onto the LAC. Now this particular meeting is going on. So this is the 27th meeting of the working mechanism for coordination, for consultation and coordination on India-China border. Now basically guys, see, you are not required to track every meeting because see, this is the 27th session. Point is that when these meetings are coming, we find this particular thing that though on many of the patrolling points the confrontation has been resolved, but still there are the patrolling points which are the cause of concern. If some important key takeaway comes here, we will take that. Otherwise, no need to go in this particular article. Then further moving on, China warns of countermeasure on journalist visa. So guys, we see this thing that between India and China, there is basically lot of confrontations have increased, and in this direction, both the countries have suspended the visas of each other journalists. For example, India has suspended the visas of Chinese journalists in India. China has also done that particular thing, and because of that, the journalists of the journalists of China in India and India in China, their number have went down, and China is warning that if India will suspend more visas of the Chinese journalists, then China will further go and do the same thing. Then after that particular thing, guys, moving on, cookie group deny violation of rules and the suspension of operation agreement. Basically, this is the entire this Manipur issue crisis that is going on. Fine. Again, guys, moving on. Fine. Day by day statements in this Manipur issue crisis that is going on. All these things not are needed to be seen. However, here this is one important article about the sedition law. We'll see this particular article for the examination. Then, guys, moving below, here we have this article, half of electricity to be from renewable sources by 2027. We'll take this article also. NCRT's rationalization is going on, and now NCRT in the rationalization had dropped the periodic table chapter from the class 10th. This chapter has been moved to the class 11th. Now, personally, I don't find any logic that why the periodic table was dropped, because guys, when we talk about till the 10th standard, the basic knowledge of chemistry constitutes the knowledge of the periodic table as well. Okay, so basically, guys, the thing is happening that when the students will choose science background in 11th, they might be reading about the periodic table, but what about the students who will be going in the humanities? Okay, so such basic knowledge should not have been basically in the rationalization, and such things should not be removed. Anyhow, moving on. After that, guys, the political articles, etc., not important for examination. Coming to the world page, South Africa mulls legal options on ICC warrant against Putin. Okay. Uh, Basically, guys, as we talk about the world page, China, US and Taiwan inks trade deals as China issues warning. See, when we talk about the China, Taiwan and US triangle, understand this particular thing. First of all, when we talk about the Taiwan, for the China, for the Taiwan, basically China says that we hold one China principle. One China principle means that the Taiwan is not a sovereign independent country. Rather, Taiwan is the part of the mainland China, and one day Taiwan will be merged with the China, even with the force, if they need to do that thing. And for that thing, China very clearly provides that no country should maintain any diplomatic relation with Taiwan, no country should have economic relations with the Taiwan. Okay, so here we see this particular thing that now US-China confrontations have increased, and therefore USA is now making relations with the Taiwan, and China gets frustrated with that. So we have seen that in last 1 year many such kind of things have happened. First of all, guys, we have seen this particular thing that the Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of US, visited Taiwan. Then China became very irritated. Then we have seen that the Taiwanese president visited America. Then China became very much irritated. Now they have signed the trade deal. So basically, this is China saying that it is outright crossing the red line. Fine. So this is something, guys, that has happened. So this deal has been called as a most comprehensive deal between the between the USA and the Taiwan. Okay, so this deal is on boosting the trade ties. However, you are not required to go and track the nitty-gritties of this particular deal as such. Okay. Then further moving on, guys, we come to the world's page. World's page, largely the economic trends. May's manufacturing PMI 31-month high. Okay, again, I have told you, I think hundreds of times, guys, and again I will repeat the same thing, that month by month data, PMI, export, import, current forex, etc., not important. You need to know about the picture of the Indian economy as a whole, because that is something where the questions are asked in the examination. Then RBI should adopt neutral policy stance on inflation, cools. Okay, and then we have these corporate trends. Okay, and guys, as we move here, okay, so in the last, okay, as we move here in the last, after the sports page even, okay, we have just a minute, this science page. Okay, Puff the Magic Dragon. We'll see this particular article as what this article is talking about the e-cigarettes and vapes. So this is the overview of entire newspaper, and now, guys, let's start with the discussion of the relevant articles in one by one in detail. Understand this thing that you need to understand the art of filtering out the relevant articles as well. Okay, so this is the logic why we take the newspaper overview. Now, starting up, so guys, taking up the GS quotation. So in every class we take a GS quotation that you can use to complement your answers in your exam. So today we'll take the quotation from Alexis de Tocqueville. So Alexis de Tocqueville says that nothing is more wonderful than the art of being free, but nothing is harder to learn how to use that freedom. So basically many different aspects of freedom has been given by the Constitution of India, including the freedom of speech, freedom of association, freedom of press, freedom of assembly. Now many number of times in the name of the freedom, the people have tried to seek a license, and in the name of freedom basically other people's often gets trampled. So along with the freedom, the reasonable restrictions will always follow. So freedom is a good thing, but at the same time, the art of how to use that freedom, the art to understand that where the restraint on the freedoms are to be imposed, what are the limits of the freedom, that is even more important. We can use this particular idea in GS paper number 2, polity, fine, rights versus duties. Then in GS paper number 4, ethics, as well as in essay we can use this particular idea. So that is all about it. And now moving on, and let's start with the first article's discussion. Okay, Puff the Magic Dragon. Now this article we have taken from the science page, and we can see this particular thing with respect to the GS paper number 3, science and technology, as well as this particular article we can also see with respect to the prelims examination. Some dimensions are there. Let's start with this particular article. First of all guys, I will tell you some of the basic background that what this article is actually talking about, and then we'll go in the details of this particular article. So basically guys, recently government of India has provided that on OTT platforms such as the Netflix, Amazon Prime, when they are showing the shows or any such kind of program, if a scene has come where a person is smoking the cigarette, then they need to write a bold warning that smoking is injurious to health. Okay, so this particular norm on OTT platforms have been imposed. Now basically such kind of warning is not there for the e-cigarettes or the vape vaporizers, e-cigarettes, any name you can call. And we actually see that the trend of using these vaporizers and e-cigarettes has increased a lot, particularly in the youth. So first of all, let's understand that what are these vaporizers or the e-cigarettes, and then we'll understand the norms with respect to the vaporizers and the e-cigarettes in the context of India. So basically guys, the vaporizers or e-cigarettes or vape pens, they are being supported as the replacement of the actual cigarettes. Now this particular vape would look like a pen, and what will be the constituents of this particular vape? So there will be basically there will be a USB charge. Basically there will be a slot to charge this particular vape. It will be battery operated. Then there is this particular battery LCD display which will give the indication that how much nicotine has left, what is the battery status, and all such kind of a things. Then guys, we have here a coil. Here we have a coil. Now this particular coil generates heat, and in this particular compartment, this is a tank. In this particular tank, there are the e-juice or nicotine or the flavored e-juice. It is refilled here. Now what will happen? Basically, when this particular coil will be heated up, it will heat up the basically the nicotine juice that is contained here, and from there then the smoke will be generated. Okay, now basically this particular e-juice contains flavor and high amount of nicotine, and when that smoke is being inhaled, it gives a kind of a feeling that a particular person is smoking a real cigarette. Okay, now this nicotine juice, it has been supported by some of the people that it is safer than consuming an actual tobacco, because a tobacco is carcinogenic. So it will give a person the satisfaction that a person is smoking an actual cigarette, and even the smoke will give that particular illusion. But this is supported, supposedly said, as a safer alternative. But is it a safer alternative? We will take this particular thing. First of all guys, when we talk about the tobacco products, for the tobacco products, we have one particular act, that is the Cigarettes and Other Tobacco Product Acts. That is the COTPA Act. COTPA Act. Under the COTPA Act, government has recently issued that if cigarette is being smoked in any OTT show, then a warning has to be given. But e-cigarettes, if a person is smoking e-cigarette, then warning is to be given. Thus nothing such kind of direction has been passed. So people are saying that e-cigarette should also have been included in that. Now guys, when we talk about the status of the e-cigarettes in the context of India, so Union government has completely banned the sale of e-cigarettes, the consumptions of the e-cigarettes in India. So in 2019, government has brought a ban on import, manufacturing, sale of these vapes. Why? Because they pose a very big health and safety concern. But still we see this particular thing that after the ban, China made cheap and these disposable e-cigarettes or vapes are openly being sold in the market. They are being bought by the youth particularly. Now this is a kind of a new trip that the youth has found. Now when we talk about the e-cigarettes guys, first of all understand this thing. There are actually the two sides of viewpoint that we have. Viewpoint number one, that we don't have long-term trial studies which actually establish that these e-cigarettes or vapes have a carcinogenic effect. But still, the preliminary studies that have come, they are pointing out that these e-cigarettes can be equally carcinogenic, and some studies even say that the nicotine dependence of a person becomes even more when a person is consuming e-cigarette. Okay. Secondly, it has been said that actually the point is that guys, when if you see this particular thing, that there is this e-juice or liquid nicotine that is placed here in this particular tank. Many number of times we don't know that what will be the long-term impact of this particular liquid nicotine on the body. Okay. Moreover, it will also form some other kind of compounds when it will be heated up. We don't know about that particular impact. So obviously it is not a safer option, but sometimes it is proposed as an alternative to an actual cigarette. It is proposed as an alternative to an actual cigarette, and the people consumed that. Okay. Moreover, it has been said that I have told you that as there is an increased level of concentration of nicotine in that liquid, there can be even more addiction, fine, when the youth are using it. Now basically guys, this is just a one fact for the prelims. When we talk about the nicotine dependence, it is measured by the help of the Fagerström test, and it has been said that nicotine dependence in the case of the e-cigarettes is more when compared to the traditional tobacco cigarettes. Okay, so this is guys the all issues with respect to this particular thing. Moreover guys, we see this particular thing that in the present times, many number of times in the pop culture, many number of times in the music, many number of times in the OTT, the glorification of the habits such as the smoking, drinking, it is often done, which is not at all, which should not at all be done. Okay, so this is guys all about this particular article. I hope that you have understood this particular issue. I hope that you have understood this particular issue. Now moving on to the next article. Okay. Moving to the next article. Now, okay, so this is another article that we will be taking. India, Nepal sign pacts on energy and transport. Okay, so basically guys, before now in this particular article, we will be talking about all the initiatives that has been signed between the India and Nepal as Nepalese Prime Minister has recently visited the India. First of all guys, before beginning this particular article, what will be the utility of this particular article? So this particular article we are going to use with respect to the GS paper number 2, India neighborhood relation. India neighborhood relation. Now first of all, few things that guys you need to understand is that when we talk about the India-Nepal relations, the relations between the two countries are based on the Treaty of Friendship. It is based on the Treaty of Friendship that was signed in the 1950. And over the years, we have seen this particular thing that relatively a porous border between the India and Nepal exists, and it has helped in increasing the trade between the two countries. Many number of people of Nepal are getting jobs and employment in India, and even the matrimonial ties between the Bihar and Uttar Pradesh and Nepal has increased so lot that we define India-Nepal relation and as roti beti ka rishta, roti beti ka rishta, or the relation of roti and beti. Roti beti, what it means? It means roti means that actually the India is a destination which provides so much of employment to many of the Nepalese people who are coming in India. Beti, the matrimonial ties between the India and Nepal that have increased substantially, particularly the matrimonial ties between the Nepalis and in the Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. So this is a special type of relation that we have. Now guys, over the over a period of time, we are also seeing this particular thing, that the Nepal is drifting near to the China. In this particular direction, guys, we have seen just 2 days back one more article also, that the China is sponsoring the construction of an airport in the Nepal. China has also given the bilateral grants to the Nepal. Now understand this particular thing, guys, that Nepal actually works as a buffer between the India and China wants to take Nepal under their own influence. Moreover, recently we have seen that there are some disputes, some irritants also that have come between the India and Nepal, particularly the Kala Pani dispute, particularly the Kala Pani Limpiadhura dispute. Okay, so basically the Kala Pani, which India claims as our own territory, the part of the Uttarakhand. What has happened just a couple of years, just actually what happened 3 years back, Nepal issued a new map of India, Nepal issued a new map of Nepal, and in that Kala Pani, Limpiadhura, they were shown the part of the Nepal, but India believes that as our own part. So basically the dispute on Kala Pani and Limpiadhura, dispute on Nepal's closeness with the China has been there, but to overcome those particular divisions, now the Nepal's Prime Minister has made a visit to India, and some very important agreements, etc., have been signed in this particular direction. So let's talk about all those particular arguments that we are having. So first of all, guys, in this particular direction, what has happened? The Prime Minister of India has provided this particular thing, that the first priority of both the countries will be on fast tracking the project on the Ramayan circuit. Ramayan circuit. Now, first of all, what is the Ramayan circuit? So basically, guys, government is running a scheme. Government is running the scheme, that is the Swadesh Darshan scheme. Swadesh Darshan scheme. Okay. Now, before going on in this particular Swadesh Darshan scheme, I would like to tell you some of the information very important for your examination. Basically, guys, tourism happens to be a low-hanging fruit for India. And when we talk about the tourism, there could be different dimensions of tourism. For example, there could be recreational tourism. There could be the recreational tourism, for which you might be going to the Goa, you might be going to such kind of cities, recreational tourism. Then there could be the eco-tourism. Then there could be the medical tourism. There can be the medical tourism. Then there can be the spiritual tourism. Spiritual tourism. Okay, recreational tourism, environmental tourism, medical tourism, spiritual tourism, cultural tourism. Okay, now India happens to be a very good destination for all these types of tourism. But spiritual tourism is something that we have not actually leveraged up till now. Understand this particular thing, guys, that India is called as the spiritual capital of India. India is the country where the genesis of Buddhism have happened, Jainism have happened, and also the land of the Sanatan Dharma of Hinduism. But still, when we talk about the Buddhist tourists, majority of them are going to the countries such as Thailand, even China, but that large number of Buddhist tourists are not coming to India. And moreover, guys, we have rich tradition of yoga, we have rich tradition of all such kind of an aspects. So in order to track more and more spiritual tourism in India, Swadesh Darshan scheme has been started. And under the Swadesh Darshan scheme, theme-based tourist circuits will be designed. Okay. Now, guys, understand this thing. Here, 15 theme-based circuits have been identified. And out of these 15 theme-based circuits, one circuit is the Ramayan circuit. Ramayan circuit is where Ramayan circuit is the what will happening in the Ramayan circuit. So basically, all the places which are associated with the Lord Ram, all the places which are associated with the Lord Ram, they will be connected through a train journey. They will be connected through a train journey. So this is the Ramayan circuit that is there. It will be connected the locations from the Delhi, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and it will be going to the deep south as well. And under this particular Ramayan circuit, there is a Janakpur. Now the Janakpur is in Nepal. Janakpur is in Nepal. So this Janakpur will be the part of the Ramayan circuit, and this is the first time that a tourist train from India will be going to Nepal as the part of the Ramayan circuit. So this Ramayan circuit should be completed as soon as possible. This is the idea that has been, this is the proposal that has been kept forward by the Prime Minister. I will be going on the other dimensions also, but just first of all, let me talk little bit on this thing for 30 seconds more. Guys, for recreational tourism, we need to promote the beach tourism, for which we have the 7,500-kilometer coastline. But on the beach tourism, we have just explored the potential of Goa and to a limited capacity in Kerala. But what about the places in Odisha? What about the other coastal regions? We have not explored that. So recreational tourism, ecotourism, for that, guys, we have the biodiversity hotspots. Fine, we have 4 biodiversity hotspots. There is the mountain chain of Himalayas, Uttarakhand, Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh. Fine, Northeast, Western Ghats, they can be a very good place for ecotourism. Then medical tourism. Guys, basically India has a state-of-the-art allopathic facilities, and now India is also coming out with the integrative medicine where the Ayurveda and the allopathy is being combined. So for medical tourism, we have also a great opportunity. And then cultural tourism. India is the cultural capital, so that thing also we can explore. So tourism always a very important thing. Now in itself, this is an important topic that you should know. Now coming back to this particular article. So Ramayan circuit will be explored, this particular thing, Ramayan circuit, on that the work should be expedited. Then guys, the next thing that has been taken up in this particular meet is that both the countries have said that they will be taking forward the Indo-Nepal vision document for cooperation in the power sector. Now, the Indo-Nepal vision document was signed in 2022, and this particular vision document provides that Nepal will be developing the hydroelectricity. India will be giving the help to the Nepal for constructing the hydroelectric power plants, and from there the electricity will be exported to India by the Nepal. So it means India will be importing the electricity from the Nepal, that is the hydroelectricity. Understand this particular thing, guys, that recently government has revised the INDC's intended nationally determined contributions. Intended nationally determined contributions are taken by the countries under the Paris Agreement of 2015. These particular goals talk about the climate. These are the climate oriented goals. Now India, as a part of intended nationally determined contribution, which we have revised, we have said that by 2030, 50% of India's electricity will be coming from the renewable sources, and therefore hydroelectricity becomes important. Now Nepal has fast flowing rivers, Himalayan rivers. So therefore Nepal can generate electricity and can sell that electricity to India, and by that India will be able to reach the 2030 target also that is there. So basically what India has provided, so basically both the countries, India and Nepal, has put forward a target of 10,000 megawatt of electricity import. So India will be importing 10,000 megawatt of electricity from the Nepal, and for that hydroelectric plants will be constructed in Nepal. So for this particular thing, power trade agreement has also been signed now between the India and Nepal. I hope you are understanding it. So in the India-Nepal vision document, power sector is one important pillar, and for that power sector, power trade agreement has been signed. And as per this agreement, 10,000 megawatt of electricity will be imported by India from the Nepal. Okay, so this is, guys, that is happening. Then the next thing, guys, that has come here in this particular action is that both the countries have also decided that a new pipeline will be constructed between the Siliguri in India to Jhapa. Now this particular pipeline will be carrying the petroleum. Okay, this is the second. Then, guys, the next thing is that basically for taking up the hydro cooperation between the India and Nepal, the memorandum of understanding between NHSP, that is the National Hydropower Corporation, and VUCL, NHPC of India, and VUCL, Vidyut Utpadan Company Limited of Nepal. Both of them have signed the agreement, and jointly, I've told you that hydroelectric power plants will be constructed in Nepal. For that, India will be helping. So NHPC of India and VUCL have signed the agreement, and they will be developing the Fukot Karnali hydroelectric project, Lower Arun hydroelectric project. Okay, so this Fukot Karnali hydroelectric project and Lower Arun hydroelectric project in the Nepal will be constructed by the help by the NHPC, National Hydropower Corporations. Then secondly, the Prime Minister has also agreed that progress on Pancheshwar multi-purpose project is to be taken up. Okay, so basically, guys, many number of times location based questions also come. So if these particular things are there, you need to know that where they are situated. The next thing that has come here, guys, and it is very important thing. Basically, guys, understand this thing that India has already designated 111 national waterways. Earlier we have the earlier we have the 6 waterways, then we notified 105 waterways. Today we have 111 national waterways through which the ships, vessels can transit across the India. Now understand this particular thing, guys. Nepal is a land bound, fine, landlocked country, and Nepal needs the access of sea for their export, import, and all such kind of a things. And for that particular thing, Nepal has been dependent on the Indian ports. Now, guys, what is happening? The that India has agreed that we have signed actually the treaty of transit, and as per this treaty of transit, India will get access to India's inland waterways. It will get the access to India's inland waterways. That inland waterways Nepal can use for their trade, commerce, and all such other kind of purposes. And finally, the Prime Minister of India and Nepal, they have jointly inaugurated a cargo train from the Batnaha to Nepal Customs Yard. So we see this particular thing, guys, that now understand this thing. The question in UPSC will not be coming on any one project, that write a short note on the treaty of transit between. No, the question will be coming broadly, for example, on the neighborhood policy of India. So understand this thing, India have always maintained the neighborhood first policy, in which India prioritize its own neighbors, and we can see that here so much of treaties which will be equally benefiting Nepal has been signed by India. And guys, when we talk about, guys, Nepal always happens to be a very important country for the India. And for that particular thing, all these particular new agreements have been signed, which will further take the ties to a new height. So this is all about it. I hope that you have understood it, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Okay. Sedition law. Sedition law can be retained. Okay, sedition law can be retained. Now, guys, this particular article we are going to see with respect to the GS paper number. We are going to see this particular thing with respect to the GS paper number 2, issues related to the polity. GS paper number 2, issues related to polity. Now, first of all, guys, let me tell you basically what is the issue. So basically, section 124A, section 124A of IPC talks about the sedition. It talks about the sedition. So basically, guys, the sedition is an offense. What is sedition? Sedition is any act or any attempt to generate hatredness or to generate disaffection against the India. Okay, any act to generate the hatredness or to generate the disaffection against the government or against the India. These things are charged as an offense under section 124A. Now, section 124A, guys, is a colonial law. It is a colonial law. It was brought by the British government when the freedom struggle was going on, because often the freedom fighters, they were organizing the protest. They were basically they were enlightening the Indian people against the British policies. So Britishers said that you are trying to create the disaffection against us. So in order to control the freedom fighters, in order to control the freedom movement, the sedition law was added in section 124A of IPC. And many of the freedom fighters, including the Bal Gangadhar Tilak, they have been arrested under the sedition law. Now, guys, what has happened over the years, though we have now become independent, but the sedition law is continuing, and over the years it has been said that the journalist or the authors or activists who have criticized the MPs, MLAs, the government policies, they have been arrested under the sedition and they have been put in the jail. So there are a protest and there are the concerns that have been raised with respect to the sedition. It has been said that in a democratic setup of India, should the sedition laws should prevail or not. Moreover, this sedition directly comes in the violation of article number 19, which talks about the freedom of speech and expression. Freedom of speech and expression. It comes in comes in contradiction with that also. So basically, what has happened, the law commission was referred this particular matter, that can we remove the sedition law in the context of India. Now the law commission has given its recommendations, and law commission is providing this particular thing, that see, sedition as a law should not be removed, rather it could be retained with some kind of precautions, with some kind of amendments. So basically it has been provided by the 22nd Law Commission. 22nd Law Commission has provided that the sedition 124A could be retained, but its usage needs to be reduced. Some precautions need to be there. So commission had said this particular thing. See, we always say sedition should not continue because it is a colonial legacy, but it is just not a valid ground. Okay, the basically it has been provided by the law commission that the center should issue the model guidelines so that application of sedition could be curbed. For example, if a police officer is registering the complaint under the sedition, there needs to be the standard operating procedure. Only after fulfilling that standard operating procedure, the complaint under the sedition should be used. So there needs to be the procedural safeguard so that the misuse is reduced. Now, it has also been provided this particular thing that, see, if we remove the sedition, then what is the problem? Understand, if we remove the sedition, then there will be problem that how to treat with those cases where people or some organizations are genuinely trying to create the disaffection against the Indian government. How to deal with those cases? So then we need to deal those particular cases under the laws such as Unlawful Activities Prevention Act or under the National Securities Act. And the law commission says that the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, National Security Act, they are even more stringent than the seditions. Then the demand will come that repeal NSA also, repeal UAP also. They are even more stringent, and if sedition is not there, then here the cases will go. Okay, so it has been said that, so therefore keep the sedition but ensure the procedural safeguards in this particular thing. Moreover, law commission have also said this particular thing that, see, simply a thing is a colonial legacy, simply a thing is colonial legacy. On that argument we cannot remove that. Entire penal code is a colonial law. Police is a colonial establishment. Police system was a colonial establishment. Civil services was the colonial establishment. So should we remove? Even basically a large part of the Constitution of India has been borrowed from the Government of India Act 1935, 1919. All were the colonial laws. Should we remove all that particular point? So simply a thing was colonial, colonial legacy. It is not a valid ground to just remove that thing. Okay, fine. So that is all about it. Okay, then guys, moving on. Yes, one more thing is that the misuse is happening. Law Commission have recommended that, and even basically Supreme Court have recognized that in many of the cases there is the vested interest that has been there for using the sedition. So we need to curb the misuse. Now, moving on and coming to this next article, how has Dhaka reacted to the US threat on visas? Now, let's understand that what this particular article, guys, is all talking about. So basically, recently, now, just first of all, let me give you the background so that you can understand. So basically, guys, the US Secretary of State, they have said this particular thing that any Bangladeshi civil servant, any Bangladeshi pro-government sympathizer, any judicial officer or any person in Bangladesh who have been charged of tampering the election process, they will not be given the visa. Okay, any person who have been charged of tampering, charged of violating the election process in Bangladesh, they will not be given the visas in the USA. Now guys, understand this particular thing. Right now when we talk about the Bangladesh, so Prime Minister of Bangladesh is Miss Sheikh Hasina. And what has happened over the last few years, there have been allegations that have been made by the opposition party that the elections that were conducted in Bangladesh, for example in 2014 and 2018, at that point of a time there was the rigging that happened, there was the corruption that was there in the election. Now this is a way by which the opposition parties have often tried to dilute the credentials of the Sheikh Hasina government. And now what has happened, US government saying that anyone who will be found that they were involved in the election rigging or were involved in violating the election sanctity, they will not be allowed in the country. Now this is something that has happened. Now basically guys, According to the US notification, this ban or this visa restriction will be applied on current and formal Bangladeshi officials, member of pro-government, fine political parties, member of law enforcement, on everyone it will be applied. So indirectly what is happening, indirectly guys what is happening, USA is hinting that actually there is a possibility that the election had got tempered in 2014 and 2018. Now, this is actually something which might become an irritant between the USA and the Bangladesh. Now, basically, when we talk about guys the USA happens to be right now the largest FDI, foreign direct investor in Bangladesh, followed by Japan and China. But understand this particular thing. Recently, we have seen that the Bangladesh's closeness with the China has also increased, and probably this might be the reason that the USA have issued this particular kind of a visa norm. Maybe subtly to give a hint to the Bangladesh that they should not go near to the uh, China. Then basically we see this particular thing is that actually the Sheikh Hasina's track record has been good vis-a-vis the law and order in the country is concerned. For example, Sheikh Hasina, she has followed the policy of zero tolerance against terrorism, extremist group since she have come to the power in 2009. Also, she has uprooted the insurgents, basically the groupings who were causing insurgency in northeast and were based in Bangladesh. Those people have also been uprooted. Moreover, the security agencies, that is the Rapid Action Battalion, has targeted the Islamist radicals. So this is something that has happened. Okay, but guys, as the Sheikh Hasina government has targeted the radicals, sometimes this attempt have been criticized by the USA that it is a breakdown of the human rights. So that human right angle also comes. So this is also a kind of an irritant. Three irritants actually between the USA and the Bangladesh. Number one, election. Number two, when Bangladesh uproots the radical elements, USA says that there might be the human right violation, and the closeness of Bangladesh with the China. Okay, this is something that has happened. Now guys, further moving on, basically in this particular respect, what is India's position? India has not reacted. Whether India supports it or India rejects it, India has not supported it. But guys, one more thing is there, that in Russia-Ukraine war, Bangladesh has also not supported Ukraine. So this silence of the Bangladesh is also something which is not liked by the USA. But there is one thing that Bangladesh has done which USA might be liking for sure. That is, recently what has happened, Bangladesh has shown its Indo-Pacific outlook, some softness on the Indo-Pacific outlook. So basically, what is Indo-Pacific outlook? So the countries such as the USA, they are saying that Indo-Pacific should always stay the place where the rule-based order should play, freedom of navigation should be there, and in order to keep Indo-Pacific as a place of free navigation, quadrilateral security dialogue, all such kind of things are coming. Now, Bangladesh have also shown a kind of a soft attitude towards this particular thing. So this is something which is a respite. That is all guys about it. I hope that you have understood it. Okay. What's policy of zero tolerance? What is zero tolerance? Zero tolerance is that we will not tolerate, for example, for ragging, India has a zero tolerance policy that no case will be spared. Every case will be charged as per the law. Okay. Now, the next article, who should own the world's lithium? Who should own the world's lithium? Basically, guys, when this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 1 and GS paper number 3 resource. GS paper number 1 and GS paper number 3 resources. So basically, guys, we have seen this particular article also in the newspaper for many times in the past. What has happened recently? Lithium reserves have been found in the Jammu and Kashmir. As of now, they are the inferred lithium reserves. Inferred lithium reserves means that prima facie lithium reserves have been found, but actually we will know it by doing the mining. Now guys, when we talk about the lithium, so right now the lithium is the material that is the most important for the transition of carbon based economy towards the renewable based economy. Understand this particular thing, guys, that see, today we are talking about the carbon transition. We are talking about the carbon transition. We want that internal combustion engines cars, the normal cars that we drive today, should be replaced with the electric vehicles. Okay, but for this particular thing, we need the batteries. We need the lithium ion batteries. We need the lithium ion batteries. Okay. So therefore, the lithium ion reserve becomes a very critical mineral for any country today. Guys, right now, the most lithium reserves are in the lithium triangle. What is the lithium triangle? Lithium triangle is three countries in the South America, that is Chile, Bolivia, Chile, Bolivia and Argentina. Chile, Bolivia and Argentina. These are the three countries in the South America which has the largest lithium reserves, and these three countries combined are called as the lithium triangle. Okay, so basically India also is looking forward towards the electric vehicles. For that we need batteries, and for battery we need the lithium ion. And recently in Jammu and Kashmir, basically lithium ion reserves have been found. Now when we talk about, guys, in India, but basically the EV market, electric vehicle market, it is valued right now at around $383 million in 2021. But see the size, it will go to 152 billion. Mind it, it is not million, it is billion. $152 billion by 2030. So you can see that how much enhance in the size of the EV industry is going to be there. So for that particular thing, we will need batteries. Right now, if we see, India is importing around 450 million units of lithium ion batteries, which is valued at 6600 crore rupees between 2019 to 2020. And for this particular thing, India's dependence on countries such as China, Taiwan has been very, particularly China, it has been very much high. Okay, so therefore, guys, today India need to have access of rare minerals such as lithium, cobalt, all these particular kind of things. Now, basically, guys, what this particular article is talking about, the article is talking about that, for example, lithium reserves have now been found in Jammu and Kashmir. Tomorrow there is a possibility that a privately held land has a lot of lithium beneath it. Who will control that particular land? First of all, in the context of India, guys, what has happened in 2013? In 2013, Supreme Court, three-judge bench of the Supreme Court has very clearly ruled that the owner of the land, and even if it is a private owner, will have the right to control everything beneath their land down to the center of the earth. So for example, let's say I have a 100-acre land, and under my land there is some kind of a mineral that have been found. I will control that. Supreme Court has ruled it in 2013. Now further it has been provided, but see, at the same time, 22% of India's landmass actually, 22% of India's landmass actually, it covers hills, mountains, wasteland. It is a publicly owned land. But Supreme Court has also provided this thing that there can be certain sensitive minerals that only government could mine. Okay, as per the Atomic Energy Act. So for example, under your land there is uranium, there is plutonium. Okay, who can mine that? That can only be mined by the government of India as per the Atomic Energy Act. Now, the article is actually now, after, guys, this thing, what is happening? The article is talking about that how in the different countries that is done. So basically, guys, the article, just a minute, yes. So now this particular article, guys, fine, yes. This particular article is talking about that how do other countries manage their lithium reserves. So they are giving the example of Chile and Bolivia. Okay, so for example, the SQM and Albemarle, these are the two companies that have been given rights, etc. We are not required to go in this particular direction. Find which companies have been given license by the Chile and what laws are there for that particular thing. We are not concerned for that, because for UPSC examination, such kind of dimensions are not important. So we'll not be going too much there. Then moving to, guys, the further in this particular article. So the article is saying that though Supreme Court has ruled that the minerals will be the property of the person who is holding that particular land, but in the case of the lithium reserves, if we want to explore them properly, then the government should be the major player in this particular direction. A lot of investment will be needed in this direction to explore the lithium. So government should be the one that should control this particular sector. Private sector should not be allowed as of now. This is the viewpoint that has come in this particular article. Okay, so this is all, guys, all about it. I hope that you have understood it, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Okay, now, fine. So first of all, let's read the heading of this particular article. A minute. at the root of India's manufacturing challenge. At the root of India's manufacturing challenge. Okay. Now guys, this particular article we'll see with respect to the GS paper number 3. GS paper number 3. Sectors of Indian economy. Sectors of Indian economy, and within that the manufacturing sector. Now the article is actually talking about the problems in the manufacturing sector. Okay. Now first of all guys, when we talk about the manufacturing sector, understand this particular thing that manufacturing sector's growth is very crucial and important for India. Some background. Basically, as of today, as of now, around 54% of India's population directly or indirectly is involved in the agriculture sector. But when we talk about the contribution of agriculture sector to the India's GDP, agriculture contributes 14 to 15% of India's GDP. In India's GDP, 14 to 15% of the contribution comes by the agriculture sector. So 54% people are involved in such kind of an enterprise which is giving just a 14 to 15% of GDP output. So therefore, in agriculture sector, a lot of disguised unemployment that is going on. We need to take the people out from the agriculture and we need to put these people in some other productive sectors. Now understand this thing. We cannot directly put the people from agriculture to the service sector, because in the service sector high skill set is needed. So therefore, manufacturing sector could be a sector from where the people from agriculture could be moved, and over the period of time, then when they will learn skill, they could be moved to the service sector. Guys, understand this particular thing. Service sector is economically more lucrative. In the GDP of India, service sector contributes more than 60%. But for putting people in service sector, high skill set is needed. So therefore, from agriculture, people could be put to the manufacturing sector. And guys, in order to promote the manufacturing sector, already government has come out with the Make in India project in 2014, which aims to increase the share of manufacturing sector in Indian GDP to around 25%. And there are 25 sectors that have been identified under the Make in India. Okay, but that particular thing has not been a lot of successful as of now. Now, when we talk about, guys, this particular article, the article says this particular thing, that post 1991, a lot of qualitative change has come into the manufacturing sector. Qualitative change has come into the manufacturing sector. Now the article is talking about that what has happened since 1991, the quality and the variety of goods that are being produced, it has increased, but the manufacturing sector's expansion has not happened. Today, if we talk about, guys, the manufacturing sector, it contributes around 17 to 18% of Indian economy. So the type of goods that we are manufacturing, okay, the variety of goods that we are manufacturing, it has increased a lot since 1991 LPG reforms. But the size, the share of manufacturing sector in Indian GDP, it has not been increased. Now, what government has done? Government has tried to come out with the Make in India. Already I have discussed you. We have also tried to increase the foreign direct investments into the manufacturing sector. Recently, we have also come out with the production linked incentive scheme. What is this production linked incentive scheme? Let me tell you just in a brief minute. So basically, guys, the production linked incentive scheme is for the revival of the manufacturing sector. It is for the revival of the manufacturing sector. So government has identified the sectors under the PLI. For example, the automobile sector is there, mobile manufacturing sector is there, solar modules are there. So likewise, we have identified the sector, and we will give the 2 to 4% of incentive on the incremental sale. Let me give you what does this particular thing means. Suppose the last year Samsung has manufactured the mobile phones of 1000 crore rupees, and they have exported that, some sold into the domestic market. This year, let's say the Samsung has manufactured the mobile phone of 1500 crore rupees. So what is the incremental sale? Incremental sale is 500 crore rupees. So over this 500 crore rupees, 2 to 4% of incentive will be given. Okay, so basically what will happen now, the other players, Apple will come in India and will start manufacturing. Why? Because PLI, production linked incentive scheme, they are getting the benefit. Samsung will come. Now understand, connect this thing with one more trend also that is going on, guys, right now in the world. Right now there is a decoupling going on. De-risking is going on. Okay, the USA, Japan, they are incentivizing the companies that you move out of China and go to some other country. So when they will go out of China to other country, India can absorb them. India can absorb them by these particular schemes, that is the production linked incentive scheme. So government has come out with all these kind of things under PLI. As I've told you that incremental incentive is being given, so a kind of a subsidy is being given. But actually they have not helped in improving the manufacturing sector in India. Still their success has not been that much good. Though government released these schemes with a lot of fanfare, a lot of pomp and show, but nothing much have happened. Basically guys, the article also says this particular thing, that advance estimates of the national income for 22-23 has come, and they are saying that manufacturing sector is growing at less than that for agriculture and all other main segments of service. So growth, fine, manufacturing sector growth is less than of agriculture, less than of other service sector. This is not something which is acceptable. Now, why the manufacturing sector's growth is not going on? Because of many reasons that are there, and very big reasons in this particular direction is demonetization that has come, which has impacted. After that guys, the pandemic also impacted the manufacturing sector, because you understand this thing, work from home lockdown had impacted the manufacturing sector a lot. Work from home was possible for IT sector but not for the manufacturing sector. Now moving on in this particular direction guys, the article says that economy needs to push the manufacturing sector, because manufacturing sector can create large number of jobs, can raise the growth rate. Now for this particular thing guys, that what we need to do, what areas we need to focus, one by one we are going to see all these particular areas. Now first of all guys, we need to focus on household demand. Now understand this thing. Basically what, there is a concept of aggregate demand. Aggregate demand is the total demand. For example, you demand certain goods, I demand certain goods, some other person demand goods. Suppose we all are demanding this pen, so your demand, my demand, other people's demand is that aggregate demand. When the aggregate demand or the demand of this particular pen will increase, the manufacturer of this particular pen will increase the supply. Okay, and for increasing the supply, he has to hire more people, he has to procure more raw material, he has to start a new manufacturing unit. Okay, so when the demand will increase in an economy, automatically economic revival will happen, because for matching that demand, supply has to be increased. When supply will increase, more employment. When those people will get employment, money will come to them, they will also raise the demand, then more supply. So this cycle will be started up. Okay, now understand this particular thing, that household demand for manufacturing sector has to be increased. Okay, and when the household demand for the manufacturing sector will come out, when the necessities of life, food, housing, health, education, fine, they have been fulfilled. Now understand this thing, these are the basic needs, they can never be postponed. Food, housing, health, education, these are the basic needs, they can never be postponed. Now guys, when we talk about the India, a substantial section of India's household, large consumption they are doing is only of the, basically on the food. The food, it occupies the large share of the consumption. Large expenditure that we are doing is only on the food items. We are not doing the expenditure on other items, and till that we will not do expenditure, will not raise the demand of the other articles, other items, how the manufacturing will increase? Partly why we are not demanding, why our major expenditure is only on the food, also because of the fact that we don't have income. When I have only 100 rupees, I will not buy a mobile phone, I will first buy the food. So partly because the incomes are low, therefore the substantial expenditure of the households are only onto the food sector. Okay, so therefore manufacturing sector is impacted. Then secondly guys, when we talk about increased income, why it is not there, there is a many deep reasons for this particular thing also. First of all guys, when we talk about the growth in Indian economy, okay, we talk about when the status of the education, it has not been very much good. So there is the program for international student assessment, in which basically the students are ranked on the academic capabilities, and here in the PISA program, India barely manages to come at the last. Condition of education is not good. Because the condition of education is not good, skilled people are not there, and because skilled people are not there, they are not able to participate in the manufacturing sector. When even guys we talk about the university is not able to prepare the employable graduates. Large number of graduates that are getting graduated from the universities, they are not employable. So lack of employability is the issue. I will give you one additional point. According to India Skill Report, just 46% of college graduates in India are employable. Okay, Now, guys, when we talk about the higher education, Indian universities, they were expanded to serve the aspiration of the middle class. That the middle class want to do what did not want to do the manual work such as in the agriculture sector. They want to go in jobs, they want to go in service sector, they want to go in the manufacturing. So basically, these particular the higher universities were created. Okay, but guys, when we talk about but guys, when we talk about the universities, universities have failed to focus on the vocations such as, see, let's say a particular person did not want it to be engineer, want to become a carpenter, want to become a plumber, want to become a mechanic. For these people, university is not an aspiration. For these people, ITIs, for these people, ITIs, for these people, diplomas, for these people, polytechnic institutions, for these people, the vocational skill training institutions are one which will work. But on that we have not focused. We have focused only for university. University is not an aspiration for these people. Okay, so here skill set will not be developed. Okay. The article is further talking about that as we talk about the economic reforms of 1991, these reforms were taken up to increase the share of manufacturing sector in Indian economy, but we have not been able to fulfill that particular dream as of now. So therefore, immediately efforts are to be taken up. Now, moving on, guys. Central Asian foreign policy, multi-vectorism pays off. Now, what do we mean by the word multi-vectorism? Multi-vectorism. So basically, guys, when one particular country tries to make the relation with the different countries at the same time and tries to maintain the relations with all at the same time, that is the multi-vectorism in the foreign policy. That is not having one partner, but is having the multiple partners. That is the multi-vectorism. Now, the multi-vectorism in the context of the Central Asia is being talked about here. The article is between Central Asia and China. Now, recently what guys have happened, the China has, okay, this article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2, international affairs. Now, recently C plus C5 summit has been conducted. C plus C5. C stands for China, plus C5 stands for 5 other Central Asian countries. Now, when we talk about Central Asia, we have in Central Asia Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan. So China and these 5 Central Asian countries, in total 6 countries, have recently taken up this C plus C5 summit. And this summit, this summit was held in the city of Xi'an in China, and the Xi'an Declaration has been issued. So this Xi'an Declaration talks about further consolidation of relation between the China and Central Asia. By the way, as an additional point, India also runs a distinct policy for the Central Asia. That policy is the Connect Central Asia policy. And under the Connect Central Asia policy, India also engages with the Central Asia. Now, under this Xi'an Declaration, the China and these 5 Central Asian countries, they have put forward a blueprint for increasing the China and Central Asian countries relation. They are focusing on 10th anniversary of the Belt and Road Cooperation. Okay, the Belt and Road Initiative is an ambitious project of China, in which the China is building a lot of infrastructure in the regions of, in the countries of Eurasia, Asia. Okay, so this is a historic thing that is being held. Then secondly, guys, basically what has happened, the focus is also being made on people to people exchanges between Central Asia and China. A cultural Silk Road program is also being started up, and the focus is being made on the terrorism and extremism as an issue. Now, basically, guys, when we talk about this China Central Asia Summit, okay, it also opens up the doors for biennial summit. Okay, biennial summit between these countries. Biennials mean every 2 years. Okay. Now the next summit will be held in 2025. So as I have told you, every 2 years to 23, after 2 years, 25, the next summit will be held. Now, what we learn from this particular summit? In this particular summit, guys, we learn this particular thing, that when we talk about Central Asia, for Central Asia, China is important, but at the same time, Russia is also important. Now, as China is trying to interact with the Central Asia, Russia's role might get diluted, and Central Asian countries are trying to balance all at the same time. So this is the multi-vectorism of Central Asia that we can see. So basically, guys, when we talk about even the Central Asia's policies extend beyond the Russia-China axis, even with the India, they are cooperating. Either even with the West, they are cooperating. So here the example have been given. Okay, so their multi-vectorism stretches beyond the Russia-China axis. So here if we talk about the Kyrgyzstan. So first of all, Kyrgyzstan is a member of Eurasian Economic Union. Okay, it is a member of Shanghai Cooperation Organization, CSTO, Organization of Turkic States. So taking up other countries also at the same time. Even the Tajikistan, it has the open door policies, okay, and it is ready to build the friend relation with all the countries, be the West, be the East, be China, be Russia, be India. Okay, so this is something that the Central Asia is taking this multi-vectorism policy, and it has actually helped the Central Asia. Okay, so India can also learn that thing, but guys, anyhow, India is the master of multi-vectorism, because you see, India is cooperating with Russia, China, USA at the same time when all of them are fighting. Okay, that is about it. Now, moving on to the next article. Okay, half of electricity to be from renewable sources by 2027. Okay, so this particular article, guys, we can use as a data point when we are writing our answers on GS paper number 3 with respect to the India's effort for increasing the renewable energies share. GS paper number 3. So basically, guys, what has happened? So basically, first of all, understand this thing, that India has a goal that 50% of India's electricity by 2030 should come from the renewables. But recently, the Central Electricity Authority had suggested that we will be able to bring 50% of electricity by renewable by 26-27. By 26-27, 50% of electricity will come from renewable. You don't need to wait by 2030. So what has happened? National Electricity Plan has been prepared by the Central Electricity Authority. What is National Electricity Plan? It is a 5-year plan which will see India's current electricity needs, India's growth in the electricity sector, the sources from where the electricity is coming. And it provides this particular thing that actually what will happen, the renewable energies will contribute to the total electricity. So they say that 57.4% of India's electricity by 26-27 will come from renewable. It will increase to 68.4% by 2030-132. Okay, fine. So around 68.4% of electricity in India will be coming. The installed energy capacity will be 68.4% installed energy capacity will be in the renewable sector. But understand this thing. There are two concepts that you need to understand. Electricity generated and installed electricity capacity. See, installed electricity capacity might be, let's say, 100 gigawatt, but it doesn't mean that it is operating at its full efficiency. There might be a possibility that the installed electricity capacity is 100 gigawatt, but the electricity that is getting generated right now is, let's say, only 60 gigawatt. It is only 60 gigawatt. So in terms of installed electricity capacity, 68.4% will be in the renewable. But how much will be generated? That will be actually less. So it has been said that, for example, you see this thing, solar power is available only during the day. Wind energy depends on to the climate. So installed electricity capacity in renewable sector will go to 68.4%. But actual energy that will be generated from the renewables will be 35.4% by 26-27 and around 43.96% by 2030-132. Okay, so this is the report. This is the estimates given by the CEA. Fine. So guys, I hope that you have understood it. Now, moving to the next article. Okay, in this particular article, guys, there is nothing much to see. What the article is talking about, just a small thing is there. So basically, you might be knowing, guys, that now government of India is flying the Vande Bharat trains on many of the routes. Recently, Vande Bharat train in the northeast have also been started. So basically, recently what has happened, Rail Vikas Nigam Limited and Transman's Holding of Russia's Transman's Holding and India's Rail Vikas Nigam Limited, they recently got a tender to manufacture 120 Vande Bharat Express trains. Okay, and this was a 30,000 crore rupees project. 30,000 crore rupees project. But this particular project has ran in the trouble. Why? Because this Transman's Holding, it is a Russian company. Okay, it is a Russian transportation company. And right now in the Russia, there are a lot of sanctions that have been imposed by the West. Fine, because of the Russia-Ukraine war that is going on. So basically this particular transhumans holding will not be able to import a lot of spare parts for the train, that is the Vande Bharat. So therefore this particular venture might go in the trouble. This is something. Beyond that, guys, no need to go in that. Now moving to the main practice question for today. So question reads, the question reads, India and Central Asian region have shared deep cultural linkage with each other over 2 millennia in terms of people to people contact, trade and commerce. Critically analyze. 10 marker question for the GS paper number 2. So that is all, guys, about this particular article. I hope that you have understood it. And with this, we come to an end to the today's newspaper analysis. So guys, that is all. Now we'll meet tomorrow. Till then, please take care of yourselves. Thank you so much.